Hello everyone, welcome to Your Health in Your Hands. I'm Dr. David Ajibade with the Brain and Body Foundation, and we are continuing our discussion on sickle cell disease in Nigeria, an inside view. Now remember, Nigeria is #1 in the world when it comes to sickle cell disease, which means that we should be paying the most attention on sickle cell disease. We're doing our part to help to highlight the issue. I used to say 50% of all kids born with sickle cell disease in Nigeria would not reach their 10th birthday. That is not true, I found out. We just recently had a sickle cell disease conference to commemorate the World Sickle Cell Day. And this number is more like 70%. 70% of every child, and we're talking about 150 to 200,000 children being born, or babies being born every year with sickle cell disease in Nigeria. We're saying 70% of them will not see their 10th birthday. And it's not just about them dying suddenly when they get to be 10 years of age. We're talking about a continuous cycle of pain and of suffering, of visits to the doctor, sometimes operations before they get to that age. And many times, these kids are in remote areas. They don't have access to health care. They don't have access to a doctor. So they're even much worse than those who have access to the hospitals and the doctors. So we have a serious problem on our hands. We're going to be discussing these things with our esteemed guests and panelists and their friends. Let me just introduce them again. Rabi Medunama, thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you, doctor.
As a quick reminder, she's a sickle cell patient warrior herself, and she is an advocate of advocates, a warrior of warriors. She is a champion of sickle cell patients all over Nigeria, especially those who are from underprivileged areas, who have not had the kind of privileges she has had. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for being on again.
Thank you, doctor.
Aisha's brother, Aisha does not have sickle cell disease, but you are AS, right? You have sickle cell trait.
Yeah, a carrier as well.
Yeah, a carrier as well. And your brother has sickle cell disease and has suffered severe complications.
Yeah.
Right now he's bedridden. He's not able to. How bad is it?
Well, he doesn't talk.
Doesn't talk.
Yeah, he doesn't. We don't know, but yeah, he doesn't see to look at things, and we don't do anything. So we do everything for him.
And that's basically, that burden falls on your mom. Your mom takes care of him 24/7. So that's a huge burden to bear. And so we're going to talk about these things. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you, doctor.
All right, let's jump right into complications. You've had you've had a hip replacement. Sado has had adenoid surgery, in addition to his numerous strokes.
Yes.
So, and that's just a small number. Rabi, where should we start? You're the one who knows and deals with all these people who have complications. So, and you have some interesting complications to talk about.
Yeah. So many. You know, it affects the tissues, organs. Right. Anything can fail.
Anywhere blood goes to.
Anywhere blood flows, there can be crisis, there can be complications. Now, so many, which includes enlarged spleen. You see kids with big stomach. Some of them look like it's kwashiorkor,
right,
especially in the grassroots.
I noticed that as well. All sicklers have this.
Some of them have big head. Yellowish eyes, which is caused by jaundice.
Jaundice, yeah?
Yes.
Means basically the red blood cells are being broken down, they're damaged, and so they release the hemoglobin and the bilirubin that is inside them, and bilirubin is yellow. Exactly. That's why they all have yellowish eyes.
Yes. So many. And because some of them don't have good nutrition, of course, they're just living a life like, one day at a time.
Is it because they don't eat well, or they're just... Okay.
Some don't eat well. Okay. Some don't have access to even clean water. You have to be hydrated.
They don't have access to
even
medical
if
facilities.
you have water can actually hydrate you and reduce these complications, especially with your liver and kidney and all that.
Right.
Yes. So clean access to clean water is also mandatory.
Absolutely, very important. We had a 61-year-old lady who came, and she's a sickle cell patient, and she said #1 thing that she would recommend for
it's not even food. For starters,
it's water.
You see, yes, even in emergency, fluid goes first.
Absolutely.
Nobody people ask you, have you eaten? It's after the flu, and
Yes.
then when they start managing you, then you get something to eat.
Solid, yeah.
So imagine that when they don't even have access to clean water.
Exactly.
This will have reduced so many of these, complications. So, and then of course you come to the bone issue. There's so many patients now waiting for surgeries.
For osteomyelitis? Or
Yes, osteomyelitis, hip replacement. Some have people
Especially the
amputate
hip.
Especially
their
the
arms
hip.
or legs. Yes. The AVN is very rampant.
avascular necrosis of the
Of
head
the
of the head of the femur.
Femur.
Yes.
We
that's-
have it on the shoulder there, but my sister had hers on the shoulder. But then AVN of the hip is very, rampant for most of the adult patients now. 20 to 30% have this problem already.
Wow.
It's unfortunate, right?
Wow.
And this is not a surgery that, is very expensive as well. It's quite expensive.
And another surgery that is expensive, and what Sister Debola said was that for 7 years she had been treated for ulcers, and then found out that she had actually had
Gallbladder, yes.
gallbladder issues.
Yes.
And to remove your gallbladder
It's
now,
another,
quite
yes.
about, I had the number was like 2 to 3 million to
Yes.
actually remove a gallbladder.
And then the kidney failure,
Kidney failure too.
which is really unfortunate. So kidney failure with sickle cell has actually created a problem.
You see, my issue with all this is that these are not people who are smoking all their lives or drinking alcohol and all that. They're just unfortunate enough to be born
Yes.
with
Yes.
I mean, not the double whammy mean that they were born with sickle cell disease, but also they were born in many of them are born in poor remote areas, and so when these things begin to happen,
Yes.
they don't have the
Becomes a
help.
hopeless case.
It becomes a
And then,
hopeless
of course,
case.
the stroke, like Aisha's brother had. This is
And
uncontrollable.
he's from a privileged family.
Yes, it's uncontrollable. Sometimes sickle cell can. There's no limit to
Yeah.
the challenges as the patient go through.
Yeah. Okay, well, they've just given us signs again. Where does time go? They've just given us signs again that we need to wrap up. So we will go back into the next segment after this break. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. We are continuing our discussion on sickle cell disease in Nigeria, an inside view. So we've been talking about complications with Rabi and Aisha. We're going to just jump right back into it because I don't want to waste a single minute. All right. We know that children with sickle cell disease, adults with sickle cell disease have all kinds of problems, from bone problems to spleen problems,
Iron overload.
iron overloads. Now let me quickly talk about that. Iron overload basically is that the red blood cells have iron and heme and other things inside them. But when children with sickle cell disease, the red blood cells last for about 20 days as opposed to about 120 days in normal regular red blood cells. And under certain conditions, those blood cells will just break up and they will spill out the iron and the heme. And too much iron, free iron in the blood is a really, really bad thing because it can accumulate in the organs, the liver, the kidneys, the brain, and cause damage. And so what they do in cases where children are subject to this is to do what is known as an exchange blood transfusion. So they take out the blood and then they take out the iron and then put it back in without the iron and all that. But I think your brother had that issue too, right?
Yeah.
How many times has he had to do that?
Think once or twice. Yeah.
Okay, I think he's also has a drug that helps to take it out too.
Yes,
Right.
the iron thing.
Right.
And the chest syndrome.
Acute chest syndrome.
Chest syndrome.
Quickly, acute chest syndrome is over time because there's not enough blood in the body. Over time, with all the crises, the lungs get damaged and scarred, and so they're not as expansive. They don't allow. Expand like they should and receive enough oxygen. So, and this compounds and builds up upon itself over the years. So it gets a certain point in time when the proverbial straw breaks the camel's back and they have a crisis and they're not able to breathe again, and that can kill them. I think that's what the first, it's among the top 2 causes of death in sickle cell disease. So we really have to pay attention to the pulmonary system and the lungs in children with sickle cell disease. And I keep on saying children because I deal mainly with children.
Yes.
But I think it's even more important with adults because
Yes.
when you're a child, he hasn't built up to that level
yeah.
yet. Okay. What else do we need to talk about, Ravi? She's laughing because there's a particular thing I want. both Aisha and I want to do, I want to see again. And that is a condition known as PICA, P-I-C-A. Children and adults who have long-standing sickle cell disease, in many cases, they tend to crave non-food, unusual things. Yeah?
Because I see them as unusual.
Well, and you see why she says that in a minute. So things like chalk, dust, sand, petrol,
paint,
rubber,
cement.
Very nice smell, and raw grains.
She said very nice smell.
Raw grains.
Very nice smells. So perfumes, baby? Do you have...
perfumes there. Sometimes you can't even stand some perfumes. That's the
because they're stronger.
Flowers, sometimes you want to chew on.
Want to chew on the flowers?
Yes,
okay.
And raw grains.
So this is what you were telling us before that we went on here about how your teacher in secondary school used to wonder where his chalk went to.
Because I'm always on the front seat, and I take half of the chalk before he's done with his lectures.
Half of the chalk. So what does chalk do for you? I mean,
I don't know. I see it, and my body just goes like, I want to have a taste of it.
Wow.
That's it. Not that it does anything to me.
So I'm looking at chalk here now, and I'm almost suspecting that you must have had a craving for
like for the past 1 hour.
For the past. I noticed some restlessness too. It's like the producer had to tell you.
She wants to take a bite. Just allow her to take a bite.
Do you think we should? Okay, all right. I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
Just take a bite.
Oh my goodness.
And she's satisfied now, I'm telling you.
Is she satisfied?
Satisfied her. I just
yes.
Right.
So now you can calm down.
Yeah.
Boy, that is an
Really
interesting.
nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Now you told me you have pick-up parties sometimes with you have.
Yeah, some chew on soap.
And soap.
It's very nice.
Soap,
I think we should go on air sometimes. We'll
Do a pick-up party on air.
Yes.
Wow.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be
see
interesting.
that, yes, what everybody craves for.
Yeah.
And what they like. And then there's even the birthday soap. You pick which flavor you want. We have various that will pick a particular soap, brand of soap that they like chewing on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this more with the adults or how about
Adults.
Adults. So you don't really see this among the
kids
children.
do it a lot.
They do it a lot as well.
Yes. I've seen kids that go on the wall and scrape the paint and lick. If you see them hiding somewhere at one corner, they're busy scraping.
And I noticed they chew paper as
eating.
well.
And then the sand as well, dust. I do a lot of dust when I was growing up because I play outside and then I just go and sieve it properly.
You sieve the dust.
Yes, and sieve the sand to remove the hard granules,
Yes,
the
yes.
stones.
Yes.
And then I go like this, and that's it. And don't you dare wash my car in Hamatan unless I ask you to.
Because of the dust.
Because you just
Because yes, I just swipe it and I go like this, like a cocaine addict or something.
wow.
And that just it gives me some
But is
nice
paper part of it?
smell.
Because I noticed
People some that eat paper as well.
Okay.
Need paper as well. You know, pica is
An ice block.
an ice block too.
Well,
Ice block?
some actually just go into the freezer and keep scraping.
Ice
Big
block.
freezer and scrape and just keep ticking. It's
But
not.
it's not-
It's just a craving. When you see a child doing that or an adult, and you think that something is abnormal. No, it's just a normal person. When I was in school, I used to stay in the class when the class was swept in university. I come and they're sweeping maybe a lecture hall. I just go in and I sit down. And the women keep gossiping. Maybe she's pregnant, maybe she's and I just ignore and I sit and I enjoy the dust atom.
Wow.
The fall of dust is just heaven.
I couldn't do that.
I know, and then I just leave the class and dust myself and clean my brows, and then I become a normal person.
Do you have any side effects from this? Does
Well, I haven't seen any.
it just makes you feel good, and
Yes, and
that's
that's
all.
why I haven't even paid attention to any side effect. Because I just go on my way with sniffing the petrol. When I go to fill my car, I just sniff. and I go.
Interesting. Now, folks, PICA, there hasn't been any clear-cut reason for that, but what the literature says is that it could be a combination of different things. Nutritional deficiencies, and we know that people with sickle cell disease don't have optimal absorption from the digestive system. It could also be their diet that is lacking. It also says iron overload, for instance, and even some lead overload, some heavy metals, could be some toxins. Could be anemia, that means low blood levels. So this
happens to pregnant women too.
It happens to pregnant women as well. So it's even in our foundation we see children with autism and other brain disorders could also have those symptoms as well. So it's a combination of those things.
Sure.
At least that doesn't kill you, so that just kind of gives you some satisfaction. So if that makes you happy, we'll let you have it. Then you can keep your chalk.
We're going to get a lot of chalk.
And get a lot of chalk when she's getting back home. Okay, all right. So we're going to just take a break at this point and then move on to the next segment where we really talk about what should be done, and that includes advocacy, what NGOs should be focusing on, what we can really, and especially where the poor are concerned, because we've been talking to two super privileged people, women, and of course most people with sickle cell disease simply don't have this kind of access to the kind of things they have access to. The good thing is that they are very, very passionate about the poor as well. So we will be right back. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to Your Health in Your Hands. Nigeria is number one in the world when it comes to sickle cell disease. What that tells me is that we should be number one in the world when it comes to promoting and dealing with the condition. And one of the first things, in my opinion, that needs to be done is to this awareness, enlightenment. Let everybody everywhere, rich and poor, young and old, let them all know about this condition. I think it should be in the churches, it should be in mosques. I really believe, with all due respect, the government needs to make this a top priority, and all the there should be a requirement for radio stations to promote sickle cell disease, their testings, the genotype, and awareness. The TV stations should be able to do that. There should be something on social media. There should be a desk, really, for sickle cell disease in the government, and someone who knows what he's doing or what she's doing, really being commissioned to really push this thing forward, because that's really the only way we can get it done. Right now, there are several little organizations, pretty much, isn't it just NGOs that are really... Just NGOs, right?
I've not seen any government maybe initiative or anything talking about sickle cell.
No government initiative?
I've not seen
I even want to ask them a question. Is there
see
any budget on sickle cell on the health budget? Has there been any over the years?
Because there should be, right?
You just see
if there is a budget for sickle cell every year, we should be aware of it.
Right.
So I'm waiting for answers. We should know that this is what is allocated to sickle cell every year.
Because we were talking...
It's our right to know anyways.
Because like off camera, we were talking about things similar, something as simple as folic acid.
Folic acid
is not free.
It should be free for every child with sickle cell disease.
Yes.
And some people don't even get access to it.
Yeah, that's...
People in remote areas.
You need a blood transfusion at the bridge of death, and you can't afford for screening, and that's it.
There's nothing, they'll just let the child die?
Yes, or sometimes there's no donor or whatever it is.
Let's even talk about
even with the donor, you have to pay some specific amount, 8,000 or something, just for the screening, after bringing a donor. Now, if you don't have a donor, you're paying like 15,000, 17,000 just to have a transfusion. I think this is outrageous. Yes, I think this is outrageous.
We talked about, I think earlier on, we talked about all these surgeries.
Yes.
You know, they're really, really expensive.
So many.
Really expensive.
Very
so
expensive.
if you're poor, you don't have the fund, who's going to help you to do all this?
You know, so
we're talking about insurance. Nothing you said about insurance.
Yes, about insurance. How do we get cheap medical care for this set of people that can't really afford anything? If we're going to use insurance, the normal insurance demands that the parent has to be working with the government, right?
Yes.
Has to be a civil servant.
Yes.
Now, for the public insurance, private insurance companies, what can they do to actually, give us a platform where patients can be registered and can benefit from such, from such initiatives, and...
But I don't think privates are going to do that by themselves, unless they are mandated to do it.
They are mandated. And then, aside that, if we're paying for 10 or 20 warriors, we should not... There should be a way that it will work out, that it can serve for...
Any 10, any 20?
Any 10 of the sickle cell patients, not those who are registered.
Whose names are there?
Whose names are there. I think it will go a long way, because if I have crisis once in 2 years, and for example, Aisha's brother has every other month or every month, and then I don't get to use my insurance. Yes, somebody who is not registered on that platform is falling sick all the time. We can only afford a number of 20 or 10. Yeah. There should be a balance. Let it be like, work. Okay, we're paying for 10. Any 10 can come in till they exhaust that 1 year insurance. So that at least we're not talking about free here, subsidized drugs and medical treatments.
Yeah.
I think that can help.
And I think we can also, suggest this folic acid, this basic
yes,
medication.
and the basic treatment, anti-malaria,
should be
folic
free.
acid, and the blood transfusion is very important.
Should be something that's very
the government
free for
should
every
work towards that.
So like even, at least the general hospitals and the federal medical centers, they should be
able to cost nothing. Yes.
To take I think it's just a question of really thinking through and paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Because the resources should be available for that. Things, right?
If they can do only folic acid, I think they've done a good job,
Yeah, right.
For sickle cell patients. I mean, who else can take care of their patients except them?
Right.
The government, the Nigerian government.
Each state government, really.
Each state government and each, you have, exactly.
And deal with it. Okay, let's talk about NGOs. Your NGO is doing fantastic work. Give us an overview of what you do.
Yes, we do a lot of counseling, especially concerning the premarital counseling.
Okay.
Which is very important.
Before getting married. We do a lot of grassroots outreaches, reaching out to those who can't have access, who don't have access to medical care and can't afford their drugs. So that way we have... we have a database of so many that are really...
Is the government helping you do this?
No.
So
no. So sometimes your support comes from individuals, any good-spirited, person and all that. You have 1 or 2 partnerships coming in, but most times the most challenge we have is funding. Of course, even traveling to such places is... costs you a lot. The drug itself is not free, but we give it out free, Then we train health workers on how to manage patients like that, Anytime we can afford, we train health workers. This is how to manage them. Then we also do a lot of reaching out to school institutions and secondary schools. And
I know you did that for the
World Sickle Cell
Day. And
yes, and aside, of course, the media and all that helps pass the message.
And that's fantastic, and it's just again, it's just you, pretty much with people that have the milk of human kindness. So we also do, and that's how we got to
work together.
Through the Brain and Body Foundation. You would bring kids with sickle cell disease to our center, and we would give them stuff for free and all that. Just so you know, folks, every Friday, if you're living in Abuja, you can come to our clinic on Friday, and if you have brain disorder, it's only for children below the age of 18. If you they have a brain disorder, you have sickle cell disease, autism, things like that, you can come over to our center, and we will give you the medications and not medications now. We use nutraceuticals, supplements free of charge, and they work. I mean, don't knock supplements. They work really, really well, and we've seen that. We have a lot of testimonials. You can go to our Facebook page to see that.
Exactly.
So too bad our time has gone again. Thank you, ladies. I hope we can come back on together and talk about this in greater detail, more and more. And we will continue to do our part to put it to emphasize it. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
And folks, thank you for joining us. So we will see you next week for another exciting topic. And remember, your health is in your hands, so you are responsible. You need to take firm control of your health. God bless. See you next week.